Hello, this is Dia Damson, and today we are going to do a very easy painting, and we are going to use watercolor pencils, and also we are going to use the help of the watercolor blocks. The first thing I'm going to do is sketch with my watercolor pencils, and the branches is super elementary. We just have one middle section, and then we have 45-degree angle little tiny lines with green, and this looks like darker green, but once we add the water it's going to be much lighter, and you're gonna see how that's going to work. And when we start activating the paint, pretty much what I do is I go with a clean wet brush on top of each pencil mark and kind of rub it until the pencil mark does not look like a pencil but looks more like watercolor. And that is pretty much what I do. And a lot of times I'll add a little bit extra clean water around the area I am activating with the pencil, because then the edges will be a little bit softer. They're not just gonna end right there, but it's okay if some of the edges are sharper and some of the edges are softer, so we don't have to do this everywhere. That's where I'm adding the water, and pretty much is so transparent, and one point I'm sure that when it dries it's gonna look completely clean, but it's going to help, like I said, with the edge of the green. Right away I'm adding a little bit of color from my watercolor blocks, and I added much lighter color. And sometimes when I am working with pencils, once I have the paper wet, I don't like going again with the pencil because it scratches the paper and makes it very difficult to activate that pencil. So I will kind of cheat a little bit and add watercolor with my pencils. But it's still, the pencils are giving us a really interesting and good look and much sharper lines. So with my greens, I usually mix blues, sometimes purples. I will mix ochre, I will mix yellows, sometimes I'll mix orange. So there's a lot of colors that I will be mixing with my greens. I will mix sometimes brown, ochre, green and black all together to create different variations of green. So experiment with your greens and see what you come up with. For the candles, pretty much we have a rectangle or two sides, and on the top we have a oval, a very squished oval, but I'm not connecting the back side of the oval because the flame is hiding that part. And the flame, the shape of the flame is like a water drop, and I have rays with the pencil pointing on all directions around that shape that looks like a water droplet. Now the difference with the way I did the branches and the candle is I actually put water on the area that was left white, and then I activated the pencil and then brought it to that area, wet area, so it was very easy. So it's almost like a wet on wet because you're bringing something to that wet surface, but everything pretty much is on your canvas, so it's hard to say that it's wet on wet because I started obviously with dry. So my red candle is kind of dripping down and mixing with my green, but I'll be able to fix that real fast. And pretty much for the yellow, I'm just moving my brush, following the pencil marks. very light reddish, almost like a pinkish red for the middle part because it's exposed to a lot of light. And this is pretty much how you fix a little problem. I just grabbed a clean brush and pushed it down on the area that I wanted to take away the paint. That was the little red that was going into the green, and 2 seconds and it's gone. So now I'm adding tons of I guess shadows, but we're gonna add a lot more of that, so it's gonna be layering, and every time I'm going a little bit darker, a little bit heavier, and of course I am trying to leave some parts much lighter because we have the top branches exposed to light. So I'm emphasizing with the shadows on the bottom and left or right side, but I'm leaving kind of the places where it's facing the candle much lighter color. So for the background here, I'm using something that is almost like ultramarine, but it's a little bit more purple in it, and that is perfect to, if it touches the green, I don't have to worry because I do have some greens, some blues in my greens. So, but I'm really trying to be careful not to mix the yellow and that blue because I don't think it's going to be really cool if I do green flames on my candles. So I'm trying not to mix the yellow and the blue. So leave your yellow to dry before you're bringing in the blue. And now I'm adding a shadow with a little bit of purple on the bottom part. And you can do this wreath with all kinds of branches. You can even add berries, or you can add acorns or pine cones, all kinds of fun stuff. So you can experiment and see what happens. Now when I added the wick of the candle, I added a line a little bit more on the top, and then I kind of went with a clean brush on the bottom and took away part of that color, so I made it a little bit invisible on the bottom part of the wick. And again, more shadows, more lines. So I'm defining and defining. We could leave it here, but what will be the fun in that? And I'm gonna try to add a little bit darker colors to the candle and emphasize on some of the edges, and that's going to frame my candles a little bit. So I'm not going all the way around, but I'm adding a few little lines on the top edge, the side, and pretty much that will make the candle a little bit more, it's gonna show the candle a little bit more, and a little bit yellow, and pretty much that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and give us thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Happy painting!